I tried to teach you how to handle comics in the 6th grade, but oh no, you wanted to play Little League instead.
Let's put a smile on that face.
I do not mean to pry, but you don't by any chance happen to have 6 fingers on your right hand?
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerve herder!
Hello and welcome to Robbo's Comics Reviews. I'm your host and reviewer, Robbo. Today I'm going to be reviewing 5 comics I picked up for you in the last week. So let's not stand on ceremony and get straight into it. First up is issue 21 of Brightest from DC Comics. Pretty sure by this stage you'll know whether or not you're liking this book, whether you're going to keep reading it. The biggest complaint with the Brightest series so far has been that it's dragging on. It's a bit of hit and miss. One issue it's good, one issue it's a bit nah. Next issue is good again, then nah. Issue 21 fits in with that, yeah, it's okay. Spoiler alert, by this stage, the White Lanterns, or the people that have been brought back from the dead by the White Lanterns, are starting to die now. We've seen it with Hawkman and Hawkgirl. Firestorm's gone. Last issue was Aquaman, and in this issue it's Martian Manhunter's turn to die. Or whether or not they die, we don't know. We don't know yet. The story starts off with the aftermath of Aquaman's so-called death in the last issue, with the Justice League, the Titans and the JSA all rummaging through the remains of the beach where the last big battle happened. And it's only a couple of pages featuring them, but you can sort of see there's a bit of tension building. Something's happening in the DC world, but we don't quite know what. Then it flicks over to the Martian Manhunter story, which to me is probably the least interesting story of all the subplots within the Brightest Day, until you get to the end when, spoiler again, Martian Manhunter's taken away by the dead man, aka White Lantern, whatever he is now. He gets a choice at the end though. He destroys his previous acquaintance, whose name I've forgotten, but he gets rid of her. And then he's given a choice by the White Lantern if he wants to serve Earth or Mars. He chooses Earth, and then bang, he's gone again. Pretty good. If you're reading it by this stage, you're going to pick it up. You're going to get the whole series. Hopefully it starts picking up. It's getting interesting now that the White Lanterns are starting to die again. You're starting to think, okay, why bother bringing them back at all if you're going to just take them away again? But next up we have issue 216 of X Factor from Marvel. Pretty good book. Don't let the cover fool you though. The cover clearly shows a Spider-Man appearance, which is true, all 3 pages of it. But more so, it depicts another major Spider-Man character who appears in this issue pretty heavily, which is J. Jonah Jameson. It's the first issue of a new arc for X Factor, with basically J. Jonah Jameson coming in and trying to hire X Factor to find out who murdered one of his general friends. Not one of his general friends, one of his friends who is a general. X Factor's been pretty good. Everyone who reads a lot of the X comics will always say that X Factor's the best of a bad bunch, which is probably true. The X books aren't doing so great. X Factor is definitely the better of the books. So if you've been out of the X circle for a while, decide to jump back in, start with X Factor. It takes place out of all the other X books. It's its own standalone little universe within the larger universe. It's pretty good. It's pretty heavy on dialogue, this issue. There's some good back and forward between Monet and Richter, and also Layla and Rain, which is pretty good. Doesn't really set too much up. The most interesting part about this book is you get a little bit of a flashback backstory in regards to how Jamie actually started the X Factor detective agency. It's pretty cool to see how that came about. Maybe they'll show a bit more, probably not. It took so many issues to see just that one little bit, so I wouldn't expect too much of it. But like I said, it is a new arc, new storyline. We'll see where it goes. It's been good so far. So, and next up we have issue 587 of the Fantastic Four from Marvel. Excuse me. I know this book probably came out a couple of weeks ago by now, but I actually only just managed to get my hands on a copy because despite all the press leading up to it, I forgot all about the big death that's in this issue and didn't order a copy, but I was lucky enough to get one. So you've probably read it by now, or at least you know what happens. Spoiler, Johnny Storm dies. Maybe. I, like most of everyone else who reads comics, haven't read Fantastic Four in the last 10 years or so, probably. This is obviously going to be the biggest selling issue for Fantastic Four. But like most people, I have no idea what's been going on prior to this issue, which makes this issue really hard to get a hold of. 3 subplots. The Invisible Woman is hanging out with Namor. Somehow she becomes a queen of a race of people. I have no idea what's going on there. Didn't read it. Didn't really interest me, and I'm not interested to go back and see it. Mr. Fantastic's on New World, trying to evacuate a planet from Galactus coming, which, you know, Galactus is pretty cool, so it was probably pretty good up to that point, but again, had no idea what was happening. And the third and the main story is back at the Baxter building. There's a great big door open to the negative zone, and everyone knows only bad things live in the negative zone, so it's up to Johnny Storm, the Thing, the Richards kids, bloody Franklin kids, Reeds, that's them. It's up to them and some other people who I didn't really know who they were. It's up to them to try and close the portal to stop all the big bad monsters coming through. Pretty confusing. The kids apparently know what's going on, but the adults don't. It's all really just leads into Johnny Storm making his big last stand. It's advertised as his death. They don't show his death. You don't know if he's dead. They leave it pretty wide open for him to come back, even going so far as to saying there's a back door. So he'll be back. When, we don't know. Probably come back. Hopefully they'll make an interesting storyline to come back. He'll come back at a pretty pivotal time later in the Fantastic Four history, and I've been told the issue after this is pretty good as well. I haven't had a chance to read that yet, dealing with his death and the aftermath again. And then after that issue it becomes the Future Fund, or FF. It starts with issue 1 again, so I might pick it up, see how it goes, but like I said, I'm not real familiar with the latest Fantastic Four stuff, so we'll see what happens. But if you haven't got it already, good luck trying. Next is issue 33.1 of the ongoing Deadpool series. 33.1, obviously most people know by now Marvel has their .1 initiative in place. If you haven't heard, basically they're releasing issues in between issues, so issue 33 came out, then issue 33.1, then issue 34. All the other stores are using it as a sort of jumping on point for new readers, which is pretty good, but really it's just another way of Marvel getting another few bucks out of you each month, because you're still going to buy it even though you already know what's going on. Deadpool's different though. 33.1 has nothing to do with issue 33, 34, any other issues. It's a standalone story, and they discuss this on the very first page. Deadpool explains what the .1 initiative is and how this story doesn't take place in what's going on in his actual series at the moment. Having said that, it's actually a pretty good book. I pretty much sum it up as this is if Daniel Way, who is by far the best current Deadpool writer, this is what he would do if he did the Deadpool team-up series, which is a horrible comic. I would not recommend that. If you're going to buy a Deadpool book, buy the ongoing Deadpool series. Don't buy Core, don't buy Team Up, don't buy whatever else they've got out at the moment. They all suck except for this book. This one's pretty good. Daniel Way writes him really well. He's still a bit too insane and over the top for me compared to the 90s Deadpool and stuff that originally came out. But Daniel Way is definitely the best writer of the lot. In this issue, Deadpool's taken away from space, brought back to Earth, where he's being given a job to evict a tenant out of a building. And it turns out the tenant is actually the Wrecker, one of the major supervillains. It's a bit weird. They pretty much start straight off by saying how good the Wrecker is. He's actually fought the Avengers a few times and done pretty well there, so it's up to Deadpool to try and kick him out. He gets paid a lot of money. This is a good issue to show how Deadpool's trying to become a hero. Obviously Deadpool started off as a villain, turned into a bit of a comical sort of in-between character. Now he's made his intentions clear, he wants to be a hero. This is probably the best issue so far we've seen where he does good deeds and he actually helps people out. So he's hired to take out the Wrecker. Halfway through, he gets a conflict of interest, I guess you could say, and things happen. He still gets paid, he still does his job, he still is pretty funny throughout the book. It's not a bad issue, and then at the end he goes back to space and we'll continue with issue 34. If you're a Deadpool fan, you'll buy it. If you're not a Deadpool fan, I'd probably miss it. You definitely don't need it for what's going on. But it's pretty funny. It's Deadpool. It's okay, and it's the best of the Deadpool series. So, lastly, we have my pick of the week, which is from Image Comics, Intrepids, issue 1. There's been a bit of buzz about this book, and I think it actually came out maybe a couple of weeks ago. It's my pick of the week. It's pretty good. It's not from the major publishers. It's from Image. Like I said, there's been a bit of buzz about it. It's new. No, I wouldn't say it's original. It's actually, I read it and then I went back and reread it, and then I realised it's pretty much just a completely stolen idea. It's basically, the premise is that there's a billionaire or multi-millionaire, whatever he is, who's taken in a bunch of kids, trained them over the years, sort of to grow them into his own sort of superhero team, but they don't have superpowers. They're all just general kids who are pretty much trained ninja assassins or whatever. Basically, I wouldn't say it's a rip-off, but it's pretty close to the Umbrella Academy, even pretty much a rip-off of Bruce Wayne and Robin. But it's a good book. The art's really good, fits in well with the story. So like I said, a billionaire trains his team of kids to become his little superhero army, sort of super secret agent team thing. And so they're tracking down one of the billionaire's ex-partners who, when they worked together, they created prosthetic limbs that can actually turn normal people into sort of superpowers with prosthetic limbs. The partner turns evil, decides to run off and try and sell to the black market. The billionaire, the good guy who raised the kids, has decided obviously that's not on, so let's go track him down. I can't talk about and not mention the giant robot ape thing. He's not a robot ape, he's actually an ape who's brainwashed with his prosthetic limbs, so he's pretty much brainwashed. He battles it out with the kids and stuff who are adults by this stage. It flicks back and forth between their backstory and what's going on in current day, which blends pretty well. Like I said, the art's fantastic. I think the buzz for it at the moment is this is going to be the book of the year. This and probably Day Tripper, I think, have been pretty talked up a fair bit. Really good first issue. Definitely be picking up the second, and we'll see where we go. And so yeah, give it a crack. Intrepids. Alrighty, that's it. That's 5 comics done. Probably a bit Marvel heavy today. And like I said, these books are probably a week old at least by this stage, but I'm going to head into the shop next couple of days, buy some more. Hopefully we'll continue on this review. Sorry it's a bit low budget, low key, not too flash, but hey, it's the first one. Stick with us.